Coming to the SITC, we have that the same classification in severity is applied also to the continuous trading and to the IDAS, but of course, the classification can be slightly changed, in particular because of the difference between continuous trading and auction. But also, in case of the IDAS, this severity classification is different with respect to the day-ahead due, once again, for the very tight time schedule, for instance, which do not allow to send any message to the market participants with risk of decoupling, because in 7 minutes, we really do not have the time to manage the reopening of order books and things like that. But starting with the number of incidents registered in the continuous trading, the majority of the incidents were non-MCO related, with 2 incidents still non-MCO related, which caused the halt of the market. And in those cases, the problem were arising from not availability of cross-zonal capacity to the X-bid. Coming to the IDAS, the number of incidents is greater, that's true. This is also true to the fact that we have 3 IDAS per day, so also the possibility of failing is greater. And once again, the time schedule is very, very tight, because in IDAS we have 7 minutes for the algorithm to run, which should be compared with the 17 minutes in the day ahead, and starting from the inclusion of the 15 minutes MTU with the 30 minutes, which will be allowed for the algorithm to run. 4 of them were MCO related, were connected to the IDAS IP module connected to the algorithm. And finally, in this operational part of the report, we have the RFC for the SITC, and we see that we have a great number of RFC which went live in continuous trading. Here we take into account also the ones which are relevant both for continuous trading and for IDAS, while on the right-hand side of the slide we report the ones which are relevant only for the IDAS. Once again, we have the activation of BRM in Romania. Many RFC which were related to product extension and were related to the 15-minute activation on the different bidding zone, both in continuous trading and in IDAS. And for sure, we had different RFC related to system release. And this is done because each year, the system are updated in order to face the challenges up front. And maybe this is the good link to leave the floor to Christoforos, which will dive you in the performance monitoring report, which will show you how the algorithm behave in front of the challenges in 2024. Thank you for the attention.
I have to take my glasses out. So, thank you, Chiara. Well, when discussing about the report, it is also about performance and about future. So we're going to cover a little bit the basic highlights of the performance, both for the day ahead and IDAS algorithm, and also for the continuous trading. Highlighted figures, no very big details, so you're not going to be bored about this with these slides. So when we are discussing about performance, we need to check performance during the years. So it doesn't make any sense to discuss performance only taking into consideration what happened this year, but we need to take into consideration what was the history. So you can already see we are presenting 2 figures there to illustrate the growth. It is the number of the orders submitted to the day-ahead algorithm and also the increase of the economic surplus per session. So you can see that there is a steady increase year by year. Okay, there was an exception in the COVID year, but this is an outlier. You can take it out. And if you check, the big figure is that by 2020 compared to 2024, we have an increase of almost 20% in the number of orders submitted and 25%. I don't know, it needs to be opened now. Well, I don't see any difference. So, yeah. I see there is a 20%, as I said, increase in the number of the orders submitted and also a 25% in the economic surplus per session. However, you can see that in terms of performance of the algorithm, the average time to first solution, which is considered the first KPI for the algorithm performance, is being decreased by 30%. So this is an evidence that the algorithm is performing well, although the size of the market is being increased and the requirements of the market are also being increased. The day-ahead algorithm is performing very, very well. And this can be also evident by the next slide, where we can see the two figures of the performance scalability. So you can see the figure from January 2021 and up to December 2024, where there is for sure some outliers, and there were also kind of improvements introduced by the NEMOs and the TSOs in the algorithm in order to bring back the algorithm in the track of the expected times. And even with the introduction of Nordic flow-based implementation in 2024, algorithm is performing well. And also with using the standard duration curves of the time to first solution in different years, we can see that also in 2024, we had less than 10 sessions that were around 5 minutes. So it is a very good proof that the day-ahead algorithm is performing well, and it is keeping, let's say, the steady state of the market in place. But it's not only the time to first solution as a performance highlight that we can check. It is also an exercise that we are doing every year, and this is called the Independent Products Impact Assessment. So we check how different kind of products have relevant impact assessment on the algorithm performance. So we already know the whole bunch of selections of products are included in this DAC product methodology, and we always have the so-called mandatory or the base products, that is the stepwise curves and piecewise curves and the block orders. But we also have a different kind of exceptional products or fancy products that could be used, and these are the smart blocks, the MIC and MPs on log gradients, and also now the scalable complex orders. We also had in 2024 PUN orders and PUN and merit orders. So what we are doing in this exercise, we are replacing this kind of orders, but different kind of orders, and we are reintroducing them again in the algorithm. And we are comparing the base scenario and the refactored scenario, and then we're reporting the kind of improvement that we will have when we are doing this exercise, which actually represents the impact of each one of the products introduced in the algorithm. So we can see that we have a kind of a uniform, let's say, improvement or impact when we are taking out these products and we are replicating them with different products, with the base products. Of course, this could be a kind of an overestimated impact on the performance, because this is just an exercise and nobody can actually simulate the behavior of the market participants when you take out a specific product and replace it with something different. But it is actually a corner case solution when we are checking what will be the max, let's say, impact on the TTFS of the algorithm when we replicate this product. And also for the intraday, same comparison again, depending on the progress of the market between 2020 and 2024. Here we have the rate of the executed orders. Of course, here we're not discussing about a 20% increase in the rate of the orders executed, but almost 10 times the orders executed in 2020 with 2024, and also almost double the total match daily volume from 2020 to 2024, and even exceeding this. Here we are creating, or we are checking two different KPIs, the so-called 93 and 96.5 percentiles on the time of execution of an order. And we can see that still, and although that we are having more market growth, these KPIs are included in the current SLA, and they are performing also well. So we have steady state, but also the centralized system solution is performing well in terms of time to execute the relevant submitted orders. As Kara said before, this year is an entry year of the IDAS. So here, and thus the algorithm methodology also dictates the performance of the algorithm for the IDAS is being done in a mutatis mutandis approach also with a day ahead. So in the report, you may already have seen that we are following same approach and same figures refactored for the case of the IDA. Here you can see some averages on the economic surplus per session, of course, per each one of the IDAs, and the average time to first solution. Please remember that there the time is 7 minutes, but here you can see that we have not even reached 1 minute of algorithm execution. So something that it is also very interesting, and it was also included in the algo monitor methodology, is the so-called optimality gap. So this is a figure that you can check on how close to the theoretical optimal is the solution that you every time finding when you're running the problem. And smallest values means the biggest or highest, let's say, optimality of the solution. Of course, this actually means how much of improvement you can have if you allow the algorithm to run for infinite time, so that the improvement will be to the theoretical optimum. But in any case, these figures are very well and very small. And even in the next slides, you can see also the distribution between the different months of these figures for the IDA 1, IDA 2, and IDA 3. Of course, the optimality gap is also relevant to the size of the optimization problem, and bigger problems like IDA 1 and IDA 2 have a better performance than IDA 3. But this is a figure that we are introducing now in IDA due to the fact that we are not including any more scalable complex orders or MEC and MEMPs in IDA, and we can calculate this optimality gap. I assume that this figure will come also true for 2026 report, if I can correct well, when we will also have a kind of the same environment also for the day ahead. And apart from the performance, we also have R&D. You already know the market is something that it is evolving constantly. You're not having a market every year the same. Requirements are increasing, products are increasing, and be differentiated. So all of this evolution is covered under the R&D of the Euphemia lab that started back in 2019. And what were the items that we have included this year in 2024 in our R&D efforts with 2 iterations, 11 and 12? Was about 15-minute MTU batches improvement, so wait to see how we can improve the performance of the algorithm for the upcoming 15-minute MTU introduction, and also exploring new fallbacks or backups at the solver level that could increase and adapt the future CACM requirements. And we also had, and you may already been following, specific R&D branch for co-optimization, which also started last year and now is being included in the R&D activities, in the generic R&D activities, and especially after iteration 12. Of course, you are going to have a different kind of workshops and information follow-up for this branch of R&D in the following months from the NEMOs and the TSOs. And for the IDAS and the SID part, sorry, there is also a separation between the continuous trading and the IDA. So what were the main focus in R&D in 2024? For the IDAs, we had improvements that they are related to the stability and the robustness of the processes relevant there. While in the continuous trading, we were also engaged more in improving the current status of the central solution, and also define a set of technical improvement measures to take in order to maintain the current performance and even improve it. One main topic that we're concerned for intraday, also for the previous year, it is also the flow-based, which is now split in 2 tracks. The first track will follow on the interest solution for the IDAS, where the performance impact is not imposing many issues, or at least it's not the principal issue. And the second track will be focused on the final solution that should be implemented in the continuous trading. Of course, we had some other side activities which are more or less for compliance, which are relevant to reporting, monitoring on REMIT, and this concerned specific improvements that they have to be implemented in the central XPID platform in order to have the ability to report either for mini auctions or for handling of the orders at the XPID. As Cara said, and although the CACM annual report and all the reports that the NEMOs and the TSOs are producing are always one click away. They are not requiring only one click to be prepared. So many thanks to all the groups that have participated in providing the content, to the OPSCOMs, to the QRMs, to the MSDs, to the ALGO people, because we are just presenting 4 slides, but they are working for the whole of the year. Thank you very much, and I will be there, and of course, Cara, for any questions. We had one question.
Many thank you, Christoforos. Thank you, Chiara. Actually, question to whoever of you wants to take it. I heard about the R&D report, extremely impressive. Can you share your views, whether they be personal or on behalf of your NEMOs, on the longer-term needs and requirements of the algorithm? Where do you think the main challenges lay over the next 5 to 10 years, and what do you think, should be done to address them?
Well, if I may, 2 points from my side at least. The first one is the actual, let's say, evaluation and assessment of the new environment of the 15-minute MTU. We have created a lot of work, assessment work in the previous years, and also introduced a lot of improvements in the algorithm. Now it will be, let me say, the judgment day, So go live is coming. We need to evaluate the actual performance of the algorithm. We need to see how the market participants are using the order types, the products, and then we need to see how the algorithm is performing in this new environment. So 15-minute MTU is not just a technical change. Of course, it's a big technical change, but it brings a lot of new players in the game, It's changing strategy, so we need to see how the algorithm will perform with this different environment of the 15-minute MTU. Other, let's say, challenges is, of course, if you go in the R&D and check the current R&D phases for optimization, for example, which is actually in its design phase, it is in the beginning phase, and we have not yet gone through implementation details or modeling to see performance issues on optimization. I believe that due to the size of the problem, and due to the different concept of the market there, so it's not only one market for energy, it will be one market for energy and balancing energy and capacity, it will be much more demanding, So, but we need for sure to see the first results that are expected in the R2 cycle of a timeline as it is described in the algo methodology. So this is to come in 2026, 2027. So, but I believe that 15-minute MTU combined with co-optimization, it is really a very interesting thing to check on the forthcoming years. At least for the day ahead. Well, about the intraday, I think that the things there are being exploding, at least in the continuous trading. Anybody can see that we have an exploding participation. I think that there we need to create a balance. It is about system performance. It is about increased participation, but also is an increase, or let's say, we need to think about how market participants are really creating transactions in the market. So there is a lot of automated trading. We need to be very sure how this automated trading is really, let's say, be engaged with performance and performance requirement increases. So we need to understand this, and maybe also, because it is always the case and is also included in the algo methodology, we always be sure to have the plan B. So what it is being now considered and being discussed between the NEMOs about corrective measures, it is also applicable for day ahead, but also applicable for the continuous trading. So it's not only increasing performance, it's also securing the operations. So corrective measure is about securing the system stability and performance. Cosimo?
Thank you. Christopheros, yeah, we saw that. We have one more question.
Thank you, Christopheros, Chiara, for the presentation. A comment rather than a question. It seems so strange to compare the slide where we show on the one side the growth of the dimension of the systems, on the other side the continuous reduction of the times to first solution. So despite the challenge is growing, the performance is improving. And to compare this with the usual tone of the discussion around the algorithm, which has reached its limits. Now, we always have to face future challenges, so nothing is for granted. And still we have to go live with the 15 minutes, so we will see. But it's years that indeed, maybe there is a lesson to be learned for us. We are always in our role to secure the future, raising early warning on the risks for performance degradation and early improving performance with respect to the past. So currently, this is really an astonishing result, I would say. I'll leave you for any kind of comment from your side. Thank you.
Yeah, two comments from my side on this. Well, this is not happening by itself. It's happening because NEMOs and TSOs are putting efforts and investment, okay, and money that are being shared, and finally they're being paid, okay, from the market participants. So it is money that are coming from the market participants and being invested for improvement. So it's not that easy. It's not happening by miracle. It is by effort of NEMOs and TSOs and of course of IT providers. We should not take the IT providers, which are the ones that we are contracted for. So it is something that are happening with a common effort. Well, one comment about the discussion on the algorithm. You know, it may be a little bit strange, peculiar, or you can name it what you want. When we are evaluating the algorithm performance, you're using some neutral, let's say, KPIs. They're technical KPIs. So when you have a requirement and you implement it in the algorithm, you pass it an audit. So is your algorithm performing well? Is implementing the requirement? Is the expected outcome of the requirement correct? And you say yes, then you are fine. So, but then you go to the technical. So it is performing in the TTFS, it is performing with the other KPIs, yes. So this is the neutral. Nobody has to say anything about the neutral, but everybody at the end is not concerned about the neutral KPIs of the market. They are concerned with the actual performance in prices and flows. So sorry to say, but you can conceive an algorithm as a black box, providing a GIGO principle. So if you supply the algorithm with different kind of input, you should be aware that you are going to have different kind of output. Okay, it may be compliant with the functionality, but it will be something different. So we need to separate the discussion. Is it a discussion of improvement of the algorithm and the functionality, or it is a discussion about changing the way that we are submitting algorithm and creating input to the algorithm, okay? So we really need to go very deep in this discussion, because if you say, do we need a new algorithm with these technical figures? Maybe we don't. Maybe we need to improve a little bit in order to accommodate future requirements. But if we discuss about driving the outcomes of the market coupling somewhere else, so this is a different kind of discussion. Yeah. Hope I answered a little bit your comments, Cosimo. Thank you.
we head on to our keynote speaker, Mr. Nicolas González Casares, member of the European Parliament, also of the ITRE committee, and as you know, rapporteur for the electricity market design reform back in 2023. Mr. González Casares, you're warmly welcome.
First, let me say thank you. Thank you for your invitation for this. It's the third annual conference of all NEMO committee. It's my second time, I guess, in this in this conference. And thank you. It's a pleasure for me to be with you. And also thank you to Rafael Gomez Herrera for your leadership as chair. And I think that it's a pleasure to have you also here. I'm very pleased to be here again, of course. The last time I participated, we were in the middle of the negotiations of the electricity market design. And I think that this reform it was very important because we were facing some of the most critical moments of the invasion of Russia in Ukraine that was very hard also when it comes to the electricity prices. So today we are in a different stage, but the EU must remain committed to tackling the climate crisis because decarbonizing our energy system is the most affordable, secure, and independent way to achieve this. As rapporteur for the E&D reform, my commitment has been clear to decarbonize the electricity system in a cost and effective manner, and of course, strengthening energy security, because renewables are natives in Europe. We don't have fossil fuels, so this is a clear path. We also introduced some improvements to the short-term markets to provide more transparency and to facilitate the integration of renewables. Here, I want to underline the crucial role played by NEMO's entities. The robust and efficient management of market coupling operations has been widely recognized. Well-functioning short-term markets are key to integrating renewable and flexibility sources and to enable cost-effective system integration. Among the main elements of the reform of 2023, I could highlight, first, recognition of the effectiveness of the day-ahead and intraday markets in providing reliable price signals. Measures to improve efficiency and create more trading opportunities, especially for smaller renewable participants. More flexibility regarding intraday cross-zonal gate closure time with the possibility of assessment before applying the maximum of 30 minutes limit. And of course, a stronger framework to shield consumers and companies from extreme short-term volatility by fostering long-term contracts and, of course, TSDs and two-way TSDs and PPAs. And with this reform, I think that we can achieve that Europe and its citizens can be better protected from energy crisis. We can help to avoid dramatic price spikes that causes so much social and economic suffering. And of course, it's time also to strengthen European competitiveness with more stable and affordable electricity powered mainly by renewables. Somebody listened yesterday, the president of the USA, Donald Trump. Did you listen him saying, Europe must not bet in renewables? If Trump says that, we have to go in the opposite direction because probably he wants to sell us fossil fuels, more and more gas, and we don't want to buy all the gas that they want. We don't have 750 billions like the Commission have signed in this agreement. So it's time to decarbonize, to use less gas, and to go always in the opposite direction. That Trump, so to us, is not a friend, at least in this moment when it comes to the decarbonization of the European Union. And of course, not all the debates are closed. For example, the governance of the market coupling operation was heavily discussed. The idea of a single entity was rejected during the negotiations of the E&D. But we now see proposals under the coming network code draft, the recast of the CACM, where this concept is being reintroduced without a proper impact assessment and through secondary legislation. I am a member of the parliament. And one of the things that more disturbs people in the parliament is to try to avoid us in a legislative process. I think it's the worst decision of the Commission to avoid democracy in the parliament. We can discuss almost everything, but by avoiding the parliament, for sure, they will find us again this idea. So this is the not the right way to proceed. And we in the parliament, we will follow these developments very closely. Looking ahead, this reform is not the final step. Much remains to be done. By 2026, the Commission will evaluate the functioning of the short-term markets, including their performance in crisis situations, and may present new legislative proposals if needed, like it is in the EMD, and of course, it was also mentioned by the Draghi report of competitiveness. Look at the short-term markets functioning. At the same time, although Europe already achieved 76% decarbonized electricity in 2024, electrification of demand remains only around 22%. This is the real challenge ahead, to accelerate electrification across transport, industry, and the heating sector. From the Parliament, we look forward to the upcoming proposal to speed up electrification, improve affordability, and reinforce our electricity grids. I want to mention this because it's really important for the decarbonization of the system. We are lacking of enough capacity of interconnection, and of course, a not well-functioning distribution. So it's time to improve efficiency, digitalization, flexibility, and of course, it's time also for storage. And how the NEMOs respond in the coupling of storage will be very important and a challenge for you in the future. So it's time also to give a political battle. This is from my side. I want to defend the European Green Deal. For me, it's the only growth sustainable strategy for Europe in this century. As I said before, we don't have fossil fuels, so our bet is clear. Decarbonization is also a big part of our competitiveness. So we need NEMOs on that, because there is not good electrification. There are not good markets, well-functioning markets, without NEMOs. So you can count on me as a defender of this path of electrification and decarbonization. Thank you very much. Please, like this way.
Thank you once again, Mr. González Casares. It was an honor having you here among us again. As you can see, apart from being used to keeping strict operational timings, we are also strict in keeping conference timings. We will now break out for the lunch, which will be served shortly, and we will reconvene at 20 to 2 for the second panel session.